spinning. Hey guys, how you whoa. Whoa. Okay. We good? Am I grounded? All right, we're good. That was like the third take, so I should probably nail it this time around because I don't know how many more of those I can do, okay? Hey everybody, how you doing? Tekking here. Today, we're going to be giving to you some sexy poll results. That's right, the poll results of who is definitively the best of the 9 Red Scabbards, or the Akazaya 9, or, as I like to call them, the Odin Bunch, you know? This is a story about a guy named Odin that was raising 9 samurai of his own. There was one that had pink hair, there was a cat and dog contraire, there was one that used a sword to stab a lot, and a kappa. The Odin Bunch. The Odin Bunch. That's how they all became the Odin Bunch. I have not watched Brady Bunch in years, so I think that's a close approximation to the theme song. Alright, so I did this a little bit differently than I usually do the polls. I usually do the polls over a course of, like, usually a week or two, and I'll do it over, like, one of the Google Docs and stuff. This time I decided, because there's only 9 characters to work with, I decided to go over the YouTube community tab page, and so I could list 5 options at once, so we had 3 rounds. We had round 1 and round 2, which were the Scabbards broken up, 5 in one, and then 4 in the other, and then we had a final round to determine. I was originally just going to take the winners of round 1 and 2 and then just put them in the one poll together, but I decided to put the top 2 from each round, so we had 4 in the final round, just to get a clear indication of, like, who gets the gold, who gets the silver, who gets the copper or the bronze, and who gets the... what's the 4th prize? Who gets the glass? Who gets the 4th the glass medal, you know? So we went down the list here, and we'll be giving off the results today. Are you excited, Barry? I know you are. Now, the way that these polls were handled, but first off, thanks to everybody that voted. Amazing turnout. I'm not really sure because we did 3 separate rounds. In the first round, we had 37,000 votes. The second round had 32,000 votes, and the final round had 30,000 votes. And of course, a lot of those votes were the same people coming back because I did this over a course of 3 days on the channel, and yeah, so still pretty good. I mean, it didn't dip down as much as I was afraid it might, you know, go from like 37 the first day to like 10 the next day, so we're doing good there. The results of this, like, the top Scabbards shouldn't really surprise anybody. The gold and silver medal, I think you could pretty much already figure out which one of the Scabbards were going to receive that. It was pretty much at the end of the day between Kinemon, the samurai that we've known the longest, that we got introduced to him during Punk Hazard. We've been with him for a very long time. And then Denjiro, who, well, technically speaking, we found out that Denjiro was Kyoshiro whenever the first opening of Wano aired, you know, over the top. That's basically when we first found out, like, pretty good concrete evidence. Like, yeah, that Kyoshiro dude, that's probably Denjiro. But when it comes to the actual story, we only found out that Denjiro was Kyoshiro, you know, like, you know, less than 20 chapters ago, right at the tail end of the flashback is when we definitively found that out in the canon of the manga. And I think the reason he ranks so high is, well, I think there's 2 reasons. Number 1, I think he's really just fresh in the fans' minds. You know, we all love Denjiro after his strife. He went through 20 years of rage, so much so that his face actually contorted. But the second reason, which I think is the main reason, man, that neck game he's rocking, the neck game. I think that was the thing that really, like, swayed people. Like, when they were like, okay, who is my favorite Scabbard? You know, Kawamatsu's a kappa, oh, but Kinemon's been around for a while. And they just take one good look at Denjiro's magnificent neck, and they're like, okay, I know what I must do. Denjiro, click. So yeah, that's the top 2. All right, so that shouldn't surprise anybody. So let's go over the results here. Something else with doing it over the YouTube community tab is that it doesn't exactly give me the exact number. It just says, you know, like 37,000 people voted. It doesn't give me the exact number, so I had to use basic math. Ugh. Had to use basic math to determine the percentages. So these numbers are the individual votes for each character. They're not going to be exact. It's more of like a ballpark, you know, estimate based on 37,000, okay? So round 1, we had Kinemon, Okiku, Kawamatsu, Inuarashi, and Raizo. Those were the 5 that I introduced in the first round because you can only have 5 on the poll. And let's go number 1 first, and let's go down the list to see who got the lowest, because I think we should all know who's number 1 on that particular list. Kinemon won. He received 55% of the votes. over half, 20,350 votes roughly for Kinemon from round one. So he pretty soundly swept round one. All right, that wasn't even, he takes over half the votes. I mean, that was pretty much Kinemon, so good job for him. Second place in round one went to Okiku Nojo of the Lingering Snow, and she received 22% of the votes for 8,140 roughly. Still not bad, almost a quarter, a good solid over fifth of the votes went to Kiku. And then third place went to Kawamatsu with 11% or 4,070 votes. Fourth place went to Inuarashi with 8% with around 2,960 votes. And bringing up the rear, you gotta love, he tried his best, damn it. Bringing up the rear for round one, Raizo the Ninja with 4% of the total votes, bringing in him at around 1,480, which, okay, that's at least, he got at least 1,000 votes. You gotta give Raizo something, right? It's just, spoiler alert, Raizo's at the very bottom of all this. Oh, and for those of you that are curious about Kanjuro, well, Kanjuro is clearly a duplicitous actor, big traitor of the group, so I didn't include him on this list. No, instead I went over to my Twitter page and I was like, you know what? Instead of doing, you know, Kanjuro on the main list, I'm gonna go over on my Twitter and we're going to have who is the greatest traitor of the Scabbards. And this was a close one as well. We had Kanjuro, we had Kurozumi Kanjuro, we had Evening Shower Kanjuro, and then we had, well, Kurozumi Kanjuro once again, just kind of written in the kanji and the katakana. And it was a close one, but with 1,168 votes, with 41%, Kurozumi Kanjuro, written in the original Japanese, was the one that edged out on the other competition there. So, yay, Kanjuro wins the prize of being the biggest dick in the Scabbards. So there you go. But no, aside from Kanjuro, actually, no, even in that particular, no, yeah, Kanjuro got less votes, but I did that over Twitter. That's like a whole different website I did that over, not on the main thing, right? But in the actual core group of the Scabbards, Raizo got the lowest. And why is that? I don't know. Raizo's a damn ninja. I remember when we were getting to Zou and everyone was losing their collective shit. Like, we're gonna meet Raizo. Raizo's gonna be awesome. He's gonna be a freaking ninja in One Piece. And I don't know if we were expecting what we got. I remember there was a lot of theories at the time, like Raizo was going to be a sexy kunoichi, you know, and I mean, we already got that with Shinobu and Nami. She's also training to be a sexy kunoichi, basically, you know, but I didn't know what people were expecting from Raizo. Probably not this. This was probably not the image that appeared in most people's heads, but appearances aside, he's still a damn ninja, guys. He can still do the, you know, Kagebushin no Jutsu, and he can still do substitution and flower shuriken and ninja-based crap. He can still do that. He's a ninja, but at the end of the day, he just ranked the lowest, and it really wasn't even close. I mean, I guess it kind of was, but, you know, the other ones, like Inuarashi in round one came in fourth, and he was 8%, so Raizo only got half of that, so... Sorry, Raizo, I don't know what to tell you. So that was round one. That was day one of this contest. Kinemon pretty much dominated at over half. But then we got to day two. We got to round two. With less votes, only 32,000 people voted on day two. But the winner of this round, and keep in mind there were only 4 Scabbards listed here. We had Denjiro, or Kyoshiro, Nekomamushi, Izo, and Ashura Doji were the 4 that were listed here. Also, I think this is a good point to bring up. If you actually look on the wiki and, like, most official, like, versions of this, Izo is not technically a member of the Scabbards. And the reason for that, it was, like, back and forth for a while. Like, if Izo was a member before he left and then, you know, Kiku took his spot. What basically this comes down to is when the group was first called the Nine Red Scabbards, or the Akazaya 9, okay? And that moment when they were actually declared the Nine Red Scabbards was when the group was walking across Udon, heading to face down Kaido with Oden 20 years ago. When Oden finally had enough of the dancing, and he knew that Orochi went back on his word, and they killed Hyorogoro's currently nameless wife. Can we give a name to Hyorogoro's wife until that's at least revealed? Comment below. What name? I don't care. Lily? Let's call her Lily. Alright, let's just roll with that, okay? Her name was Lily, okay? It's like, so they killed Hyorogoro's wife, Lily, alright? And, Oden had enough, and he's like, you know what, we're going to battle. And so he rallies his samurai together, and they're walking, bathed in the sunlight of the setting sun in the backdrop, and the people that witnessed this scene with Odin and his 9 samurai walking across Wano, bathed in the sunset. That is when they refer to them as the 9 Red Scabbards, okay? That moment right there was when they were the group. And Izo was not part of that group. Izo had already left and was part of Whitebeard's crew several years before this. So Izo is not technically a member of the Scabbards, but he is a member of the Scabbards. He's Kiku's brother, and right now, with Kandro being a traitor and with Izo joining back up, I'm pretty sure, like, if he's not, like, an official member of the time period, if Kinemon's the leader of this group, he's like, you're a member, you know, they did the Predator shake, you know, just like the, yeah, nice to have you back, man. He's like, yeah, we're gonna do this time, you know, that they had that moment. So yeah, Izo is a member of the Scabbards, and then you had Ashura Doji. Okay, so sweeping round 2, even more so than Kinemon sweeped round 1, and first place we have with 64% of the total votes, with around 20,460 votes, Denjiro. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's the neck. It's the neck that did everything. So he swept round 2. That wasn't even close. Coming in second place for round 2 with only 19% of the vote. So it goes 64, and then, whoa, 19% is second place. Nekomamushi. That's right, Nekomamushi. And I think just like Denjiro got first place because of the neck, I think the only reason Neko ranked as high as he did in this list is because of the Catling gun. That was the reason, right? Now let me ask you a serious question here. If Nekomamushi did not have the Catling gun, if he just had a regular prosthetic, or if he just had, like, he never got a prosthetic, he just had the stump, if he just had that, would he have ranked that high? I don't think so. I don't think he would have. I think it was the Catling gun. I think, you know, a good chunk of, there's like 6,080 votes for Neko. I want to say a good 4,000 of those is based on the fact he is now a cat with a Gatling gun attached to his arm. A Catling gun. So yeah, because puns are a thing. The powers that be ordained it. The powers cat be ordained it. Okay. Moving on, third place with 10% of the votes. This was the only number I did not have to actually use a calculator to determine, because, as we all know, 10% of 32,000 is, of course, 3,200, so I figured that out on my own. So yeah, Izo got 3,200 votes, and then bringing up the rear in round 2, last place, but not nearly as bad as Raizo, with 7% of the total votes, 2,240 votes roughly, Ashura Doji. And I feel like Ashura Doji got, like, the short end of this, basically just because, I mean, we've seen what he could do. We saw him fight against Jack and all that, but that was a little while back. That was back in, like, Act 1 of Wano, right? He also had the moment where he, like, showed the graveyard to Kinemon and, like, you know, I actually had to live here for 20 years. I had to put up with this for as long as I had. These are the people that couldn't. These are the people that couldn't wait as long, and they had to go fight, and they died trying. So that was a really emotional moment for Ashura, but I just feel like we haven't seen much from him. And we had that pretty cool moment in the Odin flashback where Odin clashed with Ashura and Curry and, like, wiped out everybody, and it's like his body's just laying there in the street. Odin's all bloody, covered in arrows, and he's like, yeah, that was a good fight, you know? But Ashura, other than that, we'll see some pretty cool moments of him coming up, but we'll see. And then, so finally we have the final round. We got 30,000 votes. Once again, not exact, but 30,000, which made it even to calculate percentages at least. And like I said, I was originally just going to say, all right, final round. Denjiro versus Kinemon, man. The battle for supremacy. But I felt like I wanted to make it a little bit more interesting, so I did the top 4. So from round 1, we had Kinemon and Okiku, and then from round 2, we had Denjiro and Nekomamushi that went into the final round, and that was 2 days ago. We finished up that voting, and so we got number 1. You ready for this? Okay. Denjiro, with 50% of the votes, so around 15,000, Denjiro edged it out against Kinemon, even though he was technically the last Scabbard to be properly established and introduced. Because, you know, we knew about most of the Scabbards when we arrived at Wano. We even knew a lot about Izo, at least a little bit about Izo based off of Marineford, right? So yeah, I guess Izo was technically the first Scabbard to ever be revealed in One Piece, because we found out about Izo during Marineford. We saw him there. But anyway, so yeah, when we get to Wano, though, Kinemon's talking about, like, oh, there's still 3 members of the Scabbards we need to meet and we need to gather together. And that's Denjiro, Kawamatsu, and Ashura Doji. And I believe Ashura Doji is the first one we get introduced to. and then there's Kawamatsu. But you always think, well, we got introduced to Kyoshiro kind of early on in Wano too. We got introduced to Kyoshiro in Act 1 as well. We just didn't know it was Denjiro yet. But in terms of like a proper backstory, we actually got to see him during the Odin flashback and stuff. Denjiro was the last one to have his story really told. And he came out on top. So final round, 50%, 15,000 votes, you know, and in round 2 we got 20,000 votes. We have Denjiro as officially the best Scabbard. Denjiro, you may go over to the refreshment table and pick up your prize, exactly 1 Cool Ranch Dorito, because that's all we have over there on the concession stand, which is actually my dresser. So 1 singular Cool Ranch Dorito is the prize for champions, and the rest can, I don't know, fight for the crumbs in the bag. Okay, so number 2, we have Kinemon with 27% of the votes. So he got over a quarter of it, and 8,100 total. So there you go for Kinemon. Number 2, he got the silver medal. Makes sense still, Denjiro and Kinemon standing at the top of the Olympic medal area step thing that they do. Whatever that thing is called, all right, right? So we got that. And then we have Okiku coming up, number 3 with the bronze medal. Okiku, 12%. This was a close one. This reminds me of the episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! And Battle City after Kaiba lost to Yugi. Remember that episode after Kaiba was just like so dejected and he's just walking out of the duel tower like, this is my tournament. My tournament that I built with my own 2 hands and my money. I built the frickin' duel discs for this. I did the tournament tower thing with the Colosseum and the god obelisk, and I still lost. And then Joey just walks up to him and just like, hey, Kaiba, we should do to see who gets the 3rd place crown. Battle for the bronze. And freaking Kaiba's like, I guess let's do that. And so that's what this reminded me of, because 3rd place was actually fought it was close. It was close. That was the more exciting battle of all of this, really. But Okiku came out on top. Okiku came out on top with 3rd place, 12%, 3,600 votes. And then 4th place, the glass medal, Neko Mamushi, with 11% of the total votes. So Okiku, 12%, Neko, 11%. 3,300 votes for Neko Mamushi. Once again, not exact numbers, but pretty close. So, at least the percentages are accurate. The exact numbers wouldn't be. But first off, this I'm glad I did this. I really am. Because this showed me a few things that I honestly didn't know about. Like, I thought from the beginning Kinemon or Denjiro were going to be at the top. Like, that wasn't something I was really, like, you know, that's going to be, you know, something crazy. Like, Ashura Doji was going to be number 1 or something. I didn't expect that. But it's like, I want to see how the other Scabbards break down, all right? So, if the way I'm reading this correctly, maybe I should do, like, I should have done maybe another round, like a supplemental round to determine, but the way I'm figuring this out now is it goes Denjiro, Kinemon, Okiku, Neko Mamushi, and then I guess after Neko Mamushi we would have Kawamatsu with number 5, and then Izo would be number 6, and then after that we would have Inuarashi number 7, Ashura Doji number 8, and then Raizo bringing up the rear number 9, and then Kandro off in his own little, like the Scabbards are throwing a big party, you know, just like, you know, the voting is completed for the best Scabbard, and all the Scabbards are getting together, and they're having booze and stuff like that, and sake, and a spirit of Odin and Toki appear in the hallway, and they're just like, yes, we approve of this, and all the Scabbards are like, yeah! And then we cut to, like, the cold remnants of Onigashima, where Kandro is just lying in the snow. The snow's all piled up. Blood is still coming out of him, and he's just like... And then, like, a single balloon just lands next to him and just pops, and, like, some confetti pops out. Like, there's, like, a pathetic amount of confetti just... Best Traitor! And then that's all he gets. So yeah, what do you guys think about this? Does this determine, like, what you viewed about the Scabbards, of course? Would you have put Kinemon and Denjiro at number 1? How do you feel about the ones that rank the lowest? How do you feel about the bottom 3? How do you feel about Inuarashi, Raizo, and Ashura Doji? I have a feeling that Inuarashi and Neko, they're gonna have like a really cool like combination attack with a Calamity or with Kaido. Like they're gonna combine their forces together for the first time in like 20 years, really, and they're gonna fight together. And I think that's gonna raise Nekomamushi and Inuarashi like their status together. Now, don't get me wrong, Inuarashi, I mean, he has a sword, peg leg, and everything like that. That's cool. But you're never going to top the Catling gun. In fact, I did a poll on the community tab a couple weeks ago about just that alone, and the Catling gun came out ahead. So Nekomamushi, you're always going to have a special place in my heart. And as one commenter said, you know, Nekomamushi has a song written about him. I don't see any song written about Inuarashi. I don't see any songs written about Kawamatsu or even Denjiro, really. There should be a song written about Odin. You know, Brook should definitely work on the Odin song by the end of Wano. After everything's said and done and they defeat all of Kaido's forces, Brook needs to sit down and write a ballad out to the great Odin and his 9 Red Scabbards. That needs to happen, but Nekomamushi's got the Catling gun, but that'll definitely raise both of their statuses. You know, Izo just popped up, but he already ranks pretty higher. He's at least not in the bottom 3. Ashura Doji, personally, I feel Ashura Doji should be a little bit higher on this, really. But we haven't seen much from him yet in the serious battle, so we'll really get to see that. Actually, you know what? We really haven't seen Ashura Doji get into like a balls out fight to see how he would really do it, you know? He clashed with Jack that one time where he just did the flip in the air and just sliced Jack, and that was cool. But his fight with Odin was all off screen. And we didn't really get to see what that was all about, right? So that would have been cool to actually see what he was capable of. So, you know, we'll get to see more from Ashura Doji later. And then Raizo, I wouldn't put Raizo on the bottom. Like, well, well, I'm trying to think, oh, okay, well, who would I put on the bottom? Because Kinemon and Denjiro would definitely not be on the bottom. I love Okiku. I love Inuarashi and Nekomamushi. Okay, I might have put Inuarashi on the bottom. If this was my own list, and I, by the way, I encourage you below, if this was not to your liking, I encourage you below in the comments to like, here's how I order. I'm sure many of you have probably already taken to doing that, but I encourage you to like, here's my personal list of the 9 Red Scabbards, that kind of stuff. But, yeah, I would, if I had a choice, like, okay, Matt, who would you put on the bottom? Inuarashi or Raizo? If it was in between those two, because everyone, I like Kawamatsu. He's a damn Kappa. So Kawamatsu's not going on the bottom. Okiku's not going on the bottom. Ashura's not going on the bottom. Izo I like. Izo's not going on the bottom. So if it was a choice between Inu and Raizo, I would probably go with Inu being on the very bottom, with Raizo being here. At least right now where we're at in the story. Maybe during this battle, Inu does something insanely cool and he really shoots up there. Or Raizo doesn't do something that great and he's like, alright, he's still on the bottom. But that's probably where I would put it. I would probably do a similar list to this, but maybe just switch Inu and Raizo, probably. That's probably what I would do, yeah. Maybe move the bottom 3 around, so my list would probably go Denjiro, Kinemon, Okiku, Neko. I'm cool with the top 4 with that. I would probably put, yeah, Kawamatsu's 5, Izo's 6. Yeah, I'm fine with that. That's fine. But the bottom 3, I would probably go Ashura, then Raizo, Ashura, then Raizo, yeah, then Inu, probably the way I would do it. But anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. This has been the video. Thanks for voting to everyone, and, you know, let me know. I might do more of these in the future, these little polls on the channel, just because they're quicker than doing the big setups for, like, the best moments in One Piece poll like I did last year. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Tekking, signing out. Later, everyone.